There's a couple questions that people have asked me lately. The first one is, hey Jake, how are you able to afford all the cool vehicles you drive, like your pile of garbage 20-year-old BMW or your equally trash 25-year-old Ducati? And the answer to that is by being thrifty, like having stuff like this 20-year-old Kenmore washing machine. Another question I get asked is, Jake, why have you been wearing the same 2 shirts in the last 3 videos? Well, my washing machine broke. Now, I actually already had this washing machine apart, but then when I saw what was wrong with it, I thought, hey, this would make a pretty cool video. This thing comes apart pretty cool, and so I put it back together, broken, for this video. Please like and subscribe to help with my rapidly failing mental health. Also head on over to 100%jake.com, which is probably down in the description. You can buy neat merch like this Ducati t-shirt if you really want to cosplay as a depressed 20-something desperately wrenching on cars in an attempt to find meaning in life. Or something. If the website's offline, it's because the domain expired because you didn't buy enough shirts. So this majestic beast right here is the Kenmore Heavy Duty 70 series, and the very nice thing about this particular washer is that they made them for a very long time and they pretty much never changed. The look of this panel changed a bit. It might have gained or lost a couple of knobs or buttons here or there, but the mechanical bits, well, they're all the same. So this part from like a 2009 model fits this much older model, and what this part is the motor coupler. It's actually what's known as a mechanical fuse. It sits between the electric motor and the transmission because this is a direct drive unit with no belts. And this is actually just designed to be the weakest link. Weakest? The weakest link. So if something like binds up, this is what breaks instead of the motor or the really expensive transmission. And what's really nice about these is the only parts you need to work on them are a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a 5/16 nut driver. And with these, we can get this part replaced, and it's really cool how it happens. So the first thing we're gonna be doing is actually unplugging it from the wall, but I already did that. So the first step to actually disassembling this is undoing these 2 screws right here with the screwdriver. And now you can just flip up this entire front panel. Boy, look at all that juicy goodness there. A lot of neat stuff going on here. I love these diagrams. Got all the different relays at different times and how it all is wired together. Really cool stuff, but we don't care about that. What we do care about is these guys. So this is actually a really nifty latch that holds the entire white part onto the rest of the washer. So flathead screwdriver down in here. You can see there's a place for it. You might not be able to see this camera angle, but all you do is push down a bit and lever that, and this catch will come out. And you can see how that was fitting in there. This was just catching on the bottom of that lip. Super easy. Once I do that to this side, now I just unplug this 3-pin connector here that I believe goes to the door closed. Now I can lift this whole front piece away. Just rock forward, and then it'll lift right off. Maybe. Have to kind of walk it out the front. Well, that was pretty neat and all, but we're not done yet. We gotta get behind this motor. So first thing we're gonna do is unplug it. Oh, and I already left it unplugged, but you also unplugged this solenoid over here. So that solenoid's unplugged, the main motor connector's unplugged. Now, we gotta undo these catches here. And once these come off, rotate them 90 degrees in either direction and they'll pull out so that you don't lose them. Oh, the cats are really wondering what's going on here. All kinds of... Hey, don't mess with the tripod. Okay, that's those 2 latches off, and this water pump can just pull away. And now the same sort of cat latch mechanism is going on with the motor here, but now we need the nut driver because there are 2 screws holding it in, and I could not get them off of the Phillips. So nut driver it is. And I think the thing to do here is to get the bottom one first. There it is, and now the top. And the motor is free, and this thing is dense. And you'll see right there, this is our mulligan. That is the coupler. This is the rubber portion, which we'll take a look at later. And this piece also just slides right off the shaft there. And then we can set the motor aside. And now we've got to get the other part that's attached to the transmission. Okay, we're handheld now for this part. So that is the other half of the coupler right there, and there's only really one way to access it, and that's through the bottom, like this. So I'm kind of just levering it off of there. Ow, my hand. There we go. That is off. Okay, so now relocate your very curious cat who is helping you take a look at this coupler. So now that we have it all laid out here, we can really take a look at what we're working with. This is the only part that actually isn't damaged, is this half of it. This coupler should have 6 holes in it, 1 for each of these, and as you can see, it's just kind of completely blown out. There's still a cat. Grady, go. And then on this side, the 3 pegs just sheared off completely. And that was probably the failure mode that actually made it give way, because there's still just a little bit of material here that it could grab. When I actually went to the shop, the guy that looked at this was, he thought this was pretty bad. He had not seen one quite this bad before. These here are our replacement parts. I've kind of laid them out in the same way. This is ERP part number 285753 drive replacement. You can see it's sort of a revised part. This is from their newer washers, I believe, but it fits together in much the same way. You can see how it transmits torque through those splines, and it provides that sort of physical fuse for the whole system. So step 1, I guess, is just going to be sticking the coupler in here somehow. Okay, that one requires a little bit of force to go on, and I'm going to go ahead and stick our rubber coupler on there already. I think it'll be easiest to seat the motor into that instead of having that on the motor and then potentially falling off while I try to position everything. So these bottom clips are the same as the water pump clips. You stick them into that triangle and then twist 90 degrees and they lock in place and they attach to the front of the motor here, which is now officially in. And we'll just get the bottom and then do up the screws. Okay, so now we've got pretty much everything done that we got to do on the ground, and now it's time to slap this back on the chassis and get this thing ready for some clothes. I'm real glad you can't smell me right now. It's not great. I have yet to be convinced that this part is even possible. So what appears to be happening is you've got these two little guide tabs that have to fit into corresponding slots on the inside of the world's least rigid object. And then also that front lip has to fit underneath this one. So a whole bunch of stuff has to happen at once, none of it particularly pleasant. And you've also got this guy, which doesn't appear to come off in a super easy fashion, but that's also getting in the way. And yeah, it's all just a whole bunch of fun. Okay, well, it's on. I already did up the fastener on that side, but on this side, it's the same thing. Just hook it in here, and then it grabs there, and you push, and that's all locked together. And we are now seconds away from being done. Just plug our door open connector back in and flip this guy back over. Start sticking in some screws. I am a sweaty mess now, but really? Let's just plug it into power and be done. The eagle-eyed among you will have noticed that I did this without unhooking it from the wall like an idiot, because I just like to make things way harder on myself. Also, you like my pink walls? Okay, let's find out if it works though. The problem we were having was it wasn't moving, so let's stick it on the spin cycle. Hey. Look at that velocity. That is some good spinach there. My watch says workout finished. That's great. Well, that last part sucked, but I really like the way that overall this little washer comes apart and goes back together. The way the motor mounts and stuff is actually really, really neat. Hopefully I don't have to do anything to that dryer over there. Thanks for watching.